The Henderson mansion buzzed with excitement and tension. Staff scurried like bees in a hive, transforming the grand dining hall into a miniature ballroom, draped in silver, white, and crystal. Tonight was not just any night. It was the welcome home party for the heir of Henderson Industries, soon-to-be CEO, billionaire, Ty Henderson. Hello, friends. Welcome to my channel. If you are new here, please consider subscribing and sharing the video with your friends. Like the video and tell us where you are watching from. Write in the comments. Haley, the newest member of the domestic staff, adjusted silver goblets on the long table, still trying to believe she was working in a house this grand. As she placed another glass, the front door burst open with an echo that made her spin around. Her breath caught in her throat. Ty Henderson stood in the doorway, a confident grin tugging at his lips. He wasn't in a designer suit, but he didn't need one. He wore a crisp white Henley shirt that hugged his lean, muscled torso, and dark jeans that sat low on his hips. His brown leather boots were scuffed from travel, and a black duffel bag hung from his shoulder. But what stood out the most were his eyes, piercing gray, sharp, observant. Those eyes scanned the room until they found her. And when they did, it was like time stopped. A spark, a jolt, an electric current ran from his gaze to her core. Haley froze, her cheeks flushed. She wasn't just noticed. She was seen. Ty's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Henderson, rushed forward. His mother threw her arms around him, her diamond bracelets clinking. "My baby," she gushed, kissing both his cheeks. "You're finally home, son," his father said, clapping him on the back. "We're proud of you." But even as they celebrated, Ty's eyes drifted back to Haley. She felt it. She knew it. The party began. The music played. Laughter filled the air. As Haley moved through the crowd with a tray of cocktails, she felt his gaze again. Ty watched her, not like a man assessing the help, but like a man who saw something he couldn't explain. She made her way to the kitchen, needing a breath. She reached for a pitcher, then froze again. Ty was there. He had followed her. "Hey," he said, voice deep and smooth. "I don't think we've met." Haley blinked. I'm Haley, part of the staff." He stepped closer, offering his hand. "Ty." Their hands touched. Another jolt. This time, stronger. Her heart raced. He smiled. She smiled back. The party ended. Silence fell over the mansion like a heavy blanket. Sometime past midnight, Haley rose from bed, thirsty. She tiptoed into the kitchen in her nightgown and reached for a glass of water. A thud echoed down the hall. Ty. He was leaning against the wall, shirt half untucked, clearly drunk. "Wrong! Turn!" he mumbled. Haley rushed to him. "Let me help you to your room." He staggered, mumbling thanks as she guided him upstairs. She eased him onto the edge of his bed, tugged off his shoes. "Lay back. You'll feel better," she whispered. But when she turned to leave, his hand shot out, grabbing hers. "Don't go," he whispered. She turned. His eyes, glassier now, searched hers, and then he pulled her closer and kissed her. Haley knew she should have resisted, but she couldn't. Night fades to morning light. Haley stirred, startled to find herself in Ty's bed. His arm draped over her waist. He snored softly, unaware. But that wasn't what made her heart stop. Standing over her, face twisted with rage, was Mrs. Henderson. "Get out!" the woman hissed. Haley gasped, scrambling from the bed, grabbing her clothes. Her cheeks burned with shame. She ran to her room, barely holding back tears. Moments later, a sharp knock. The door flung open. Mrs. Henderson stormed in, eyes blazing. "You little tramp," she spat. "I knew girls like you couldn't be trusted. Get your things and get out of my house." She threw an envelope of cash onto the bed. "That should be enough for a cab back to whatever gutter you crawled out of." Haley clutched her bag, heart shattered. She had come here for a fresh start. Instead, she was being thrown out like trash because of a kiss she hadn't planned with a man who barely remembered it. Haley stood at the small kitchen window, her hands wrapped around a warm mug of coffee. Outside, her 6-year-old twin boys raced across the garden, laughter echoing like bells in the breeze. Their curly blonde hair gleamed under the sun, just like his. It had been 7 long years since that night. The night that shattered her world and reshaped it forever. After being thrown out of the Henderson estate, she had returned to the only place that had ever felt like home, her grandmother's little house just outside of town. She picked up where she left off, waiting tables at the local diner, the same job she had worked during college. But college was a dream she never got to finish. Her grandmother, the only real parent she had ever known, fell ill. And Haley, ever the selfless soul, dropped everything in her final year to care for the woman who had raised her when her own mother walked out. She still remembered that day, how her mother packed a bag and left with a new boyfriend who didn't want kids. Haley was 4. She never saw her again. After her grandmother's passing, Haley needed a fresh start. She applied for the live-in maid position at the Henderson estate, never expecting her life to spiral in the way it did. A month later, 2 pink lines changed everything. She had gone back, heart pounding, fear and hope warring in her chest. She needed to tell Ty. He deserved to know. But Mrs. Henderson had answered the door, arms crossed, expression ice cold. "Go find your real baby daddy," she said, before slamming the door in her face. Days later, Haley saw the headline in the business section. "Ty Henderson expands to Europe. New global ventures underway." He had gone abroad again, without knowing, without ever finding out about the children he left behind. The boys tumble onto the grass, laughing. Haley smiles softly, but her eyes glisten with unshed tears. They were her joy, her reason, her everything. But part of her still wondered, what if Ty knew? What if he had been lied to, the way she had been discarded? She had written letters she never sent, told herself it was better this way. He was a millionaire, a CEO, a man from a world that would never accept a waitress and her fatherless children. Still, every now and then, she caught a glimpse of the man she met that night, in the way her sons furrowed their brows, in their mischievous grins, in their silver-gray eyes. Ty Henderson had no idea what he left behind. But fate has a cruel way of circling back. With twins on the way, and a world stacked against her, Haley made a choice. A bold, terrifying, life-saving choice. She would not give up. She would not let her boys grow up watching her struggle and settle. She would give them the life they deserved. So, one night, long after her shift at the diner ended, she sat at her grandmother's old desk and applied for an online college scholarship. She prayed before hitting submit. And God answered. She was accepted. Tuition covered. Every spare moment, before work, after work, in between doctor's appointments, she studied. Her belly grew, her ankles swelled, but so did her determination. With help from her co-workers, her church family, and the kind-hearted neighbor who watched her belly like it was a miracle, they all helped her carry the load. And just 1 month before the twins were born, she graduated. Those first few years were the hardest. Nights filled with crying, bottles, and business plans scribbled on napkins at the diner counter. But God wasn't finished with her yet. She started a small virtual assistant company from her living room. Word spread. Clients came, then investors. She never forgot her roots. Her company offered work-from-home jobs to struggling moms. She named the company GraceWorks. Now, 5 years later, Haley was not only a college graduate and a mother. She was a millionaire. She ran her own company. Her sons were thriving in school. She had a house, employees, respect. Sometimes she still stared at the bank statements and whispered, "Thank you, God. I still can't believe it." She had everything she prayed for, except closure. Because no matter how far she'd come, one chapter remained unfinished. Ty Henderson. He still didn't know. But that was about to change. A new email alert pops up on Haley's laptop screen. Subject: Ty Henderson. Henderson Global Virtual Conference Partnership Inquiry. Her hands tremble. The past is knocking. And this time, Haley won't run. It had been 7 years since Haley had seen his face. 7 years since the night that changed everything. And now, fate, armed with a business email, was bringing Ty Henderson back into her world. Her company, GraceWorks, had been invited to partner on a digital empowerment initiative at the Henderson Global Virtual Summit. A prestigious opportunity and an inescapable confrontation. She wasn't the maid anymore. She wasn't the girl begging to be heard. She was a woman, a mother, a CEO. And whether Ty remembered her or not, he was going to see her today. Ty's brow furrowed the moment her face appeared on the screen. His confident voice faltered as he leaned in slightly, eyes narrowing. "You look familiar," he said slowly, almost to himself. There was a flicker of something behind his gaze, recognition buried beneath years of forgotten nights and broken memories. Haley's expression didn't change, but her heart slammed against her ribs. She knew he didn't fully remember. Not yet. Haley met his gaze through the screen, her voice smooth but steady. "We've met before," she said quietly. 7 years ago, at your family's estate." The air shifted. Ty's smile faded, confusion settling into shock as the past began to stir. "You're the maid from my parents' estate," Ty said softly. "I was, for about a month," Haley replied calmly. He blinked, stunned. The memory was blurry but vivid enough. The way they had looked at each other that night, the electricity, the kiss, the morning after. "You disappeared. My mother said you quit and left," Ty said. Haley replied coolly, "Your mother said a lot of things." Ty sat back in his chair, silence growing heavy between them. There was something in her voice, a weight, a wound. "You never tried to contact me?" he asked gently. Haley hesitated, her eyes darkening. "I came back, Ty, a month later. I needed to speak to you. Your mother met me at the door and told me to go find my real baby daddy." Ty's mouth parted, but no sound came out. His entire body went still. "Baby? You were?" he asked hoarsely. Haley said, "Pregnant. With your children."